So these are his words, but my own voice. Let me also say, interestingly, I was the one who was invited to this event, this forum. And when I went to him to seek his approval, he said, no, I am the #1 cultural tourism person in this state. I am the one who is going to lead the delegation. And therefore, I communicated with Baba Kafra. Unfortunately, he had to go through London. As you all know, Nigeria's president is recovering, and there was a delegation of state governors who went to visit him, and somehow he got stuck there. Be that as it may, if he was here, I probably wouldn't be wearing my full agbada. But because he's not here, I can impersonate the position of the governor of Oyo State. On that note, I bring felicitations from the people of Africa, your ancestral home. Warm greetings from your brothers and sisters in Nigeria. Nigeria with the largest population of black people in Africa. And of course, it is wishes and good tidings from Oyo State. Oyo State, Nigeria, is the cradle of Yoruba culture. And therefore, I guess it wasn't out of place when I decided to say a castle. Everybody has said it, and I said it yesterday. Coming here, driving through the streets of Trinidad, it's like any African country. It's like being in Nigeria. It's like being in Lagos. It's like being in, as a matter of fact, more specifically, it's like being in Calabar. The architecture in terms of the landscape is virtually the same. And this immediately set my mind to the fact that depending on the way you look at it, everywhere can easily be home. And therefore, yesterday I preached the need for us to have a connection between Africa and Africans in the diaspora. Therefore, I am extremely delighted that the organizers of the Emancipation Festival extended an invitation to me to attend this year's commemoration and to present a special address at the Forum on Africa and its Diaspora. Now I am talking as the governor. Before I proceed, permit me to recognize all the distinguished people that have worked assiduously to ensure that we are here today. I want to thank especially Baba Kafra Campbell, the chairman of the Emancipation Support Committee, Trinidad and Tobago. I'd like to thank Joy, who have christened or re-christened Ayo, because Joy in Yoruba means Ayo. Terry, who have given a Calabar name, Ekaite. Nzinga, who is there, I think I gave her Idore, which means hope. And all the others for their warm reception accorded the delegation from Nigeria since we arrived. Whereas the journey that took our ancestors from their homeland to this space had lasted between 1 and 6 months, sometimes years, advancement in technology has compressed time and space, therefore ensuring that we travel here under 24 hours. However, unlike our ancestors who journeyed to bondage, we have journeyed here to celebrate emancipation. While it is not my intention to historicize the diaspora, as this is better left for academic historians, I find it expedient that we interpret today's event in the context of a historical reality, which the transatlantic trade no doubt constitutes. Winston Churchill once said, and I quote, "The farther backward you can look, the farther forward you are likely to see." In other words, whatever we are able to take away from this event is dependent on the ability to relate our shared past and the antecedents that have shaped our collective consciousness. The memory of slavery is despicable, and the accompanying narratives are rather appalling. But in emancipation stories and celebrations such as this one we are holding today, There is a spiritual reawakening, an attestation to our strength and resilience, and a reaffirmation of our humanity. Embedded in the Emancipation Festival, thus, is a well-thought design to interrogate our past, craft our present, and take ownership of our future. As a governor of a state that is committed, I will seek to pursue beyond the platform offered by this festival and continuously express in the various policies and institutional interventions I lead back home in Nigeria. A question everyone gathered here will be interested in is how the relationship between Africa and its diaspora can be strengthened for the overall advancement of Africa and people of African descent. In short, I see our emphasis dwelling less on the process of being, by which I mean the conditions that created the diasporas. Rather, as a people, we must be forward-looking, exploring our areas of advantages for mutual development. No doubt, there are existing areas of cultural cooperation. Many times we have come together to celebrate our ancestral bond. In time past, we have promoted the rich cultural heritage of Africa and reveled in the values of community. The 1977 Second World Black and African Festival of Arts and Culture, Festac 77, which held for 1 month in Nigeria, was fashioned in this mold. But how strong are the existing synergies, and how effective are they in producing the knowledge and actions necessary for addressing the problems of poverty and underdevelopment we contend with in Africa? Beyond cultural cooperation, there is increasing awareness of the role the African diaspora can play in promoting development in the continent. For instance, the World Bank in a 2007 report takes cognizance of the long-term effects the diasporas have on the economic goals of countries in sub-Saharan Africa. Through its African Diaspora Program, the World Bank has collaborated with different African states, the African Union Commission, and other international donor agencies to increase diaspora engagement in various development concerns. Unfortunately, the involvement has been limited to constructive dialogue at the intellectual level and one-off interventions from expert organizations. More than 14 years ago, the African Union had recognized the importance of its diaspora by declaring it the 6th region in the continent. This symbolic pronouncement, I must say, was not geared towards territory annexation, but rather provoked the genuine interest which Africa's diaspora communities have consistently shown to matters pertaining to the development of the continent. Let me add that Oyo State is ready and will always be a ready home for diasporans. We offer the historical and spiritual link that connects diasporans to their African roots. The 25th anniversary of the Emancipation Support Committee of Trinidad and Tobago provides a platform for engaging with the modes in which the relationship between Africa and its diaspora can be of mutual benefits. When some scholars while writing concerning diaspora-led development, they focus mostly on the new African diasporas, the category of Africans that migrated to the West in the 20th and 21st century seeking the greener pastures. It was perhaps this category that the World Bank had in mind when it stated that, and I quote, "The African diaspora constitutes an amazing African brain lying outside the continent, which has the capacity to lift development of the continent to the next level in order to enable Africa increase its capacity to acquire, use and apply knowledge, and increase its access to financial resources." End of quote. But the class is nonetheless inclusive. It encompasses the historical diasporas, the descendants of Africans shipped out of the continent some 350 years ago. We make no pretense about the fact that Africa's efforts towards democratic consolidation, confronting the challenges posed by wars and insurgency, and tackling the mass poverty in the continent all require that we seek greater collaboration with these natural allies. The African diaspora communities in America, Caribbean, and Europe are not only natural development partners, but appropriate contexts for redefining the globalness of Africa and African identity. An African proverb says, "If you cut your chains, you free yourself. If you cut your roots, you die." Today, as we are gathered, I seek in practical terms such goals that are not only realistic but also implementable in short, medium, and long term. In plain speak, I strive for specific areas in which Trinidad and Tobago and other diaspora communities in the Caribbean especially can contribute to Nigeria's economic growth in the areas of trade and direct investments.